Well, I've been under the weather, folks, and I'm feeling much better now. I got some more sleep, and it's 25 minutes until 6 a.m. on Saturday, the 24th of February, a short month. Mercifully enough, because I'm flat broke, I'm going to buy a few more things, food, but I had to borrow money. And it's pretty bad when you have to borrow money to make things stretch a little bit, but I just figured, well, you know, I'm going to just have to avoid the stuff that comes from the kitchen. And since they delivered the microwave, you see there's a grim-looking machine, kind of a certain severity to it, but actually that's only skin deep. You know, this hard and fast kind of mentality. I had one that looked more like the refrigerator. You know, they confiscated it, and then they said they couldn't find it, and bought this one, which is the closest they could get to what I had, or so they tell me. Well, I've been rather, you know, impassive about anything they do, because usually it's hurtful. I did finally figure out some things. I've seen some horrific video lately, and rather than get into all the details, horrific. But it did occur to me that the reason your friend Philip sold practically anything he thought cosmic enough involved the dry cells. You know, I'm now waiting resupply. $20 worth of batteries are on their way here. I don't know whether they'll be intercepted at the front door, but if I get them, then I can fire up the keyboard that works with one computer and put a fresh battery, disposable battery, in the mouse that's that I use with the one that I have now, for the computer, the Geekom, and put the rechargeable battery back in its slot on the recharger, even though you know, the few rechargeable batteries I have are just about worn out. I got that rechargeable remote for the Roku just in time, and has it been a blessing. I can get in bed and not worry about, you know, suddenly being frozen into something, you know, and I just leave it plugged into the cord, and it works. But I decided that since, as I was saying, since this nightmare deepens, I have the microwave, and I figured what I figured is true. They're putting nothing but garbage on my plate from the kitchen. That means, you know, I can't split the difference. I have to buy almost all my food. Well, after I juggle a few things and pay for a few things that I've had to get, like batteries and what, I don't know, some other stuff, I will be able to even things out, and then literally spend every red cent on expensive groceries. The other day, day before yesterday, right before I was, you know, kind of sick again. I seem to get sick all the time now. I stay sick, but I mean, you know, on top of the usual, to have some sort of flu or something. Christy confessed that she did get the 18 count Act 2 Homestyle popcorn. I'll show you. For those of you who don't know a thing in the world about, the hit or miss in the supermarket, look at this. This is what I bought through what do you call it? DoorDash. That's 6 bags. I'm embarrassed. I won't tell you what I paid for 2 boxes, 6 bags in each. But it was not cheap, and that on top of the fees. I bought that with some other stuff. I try to buy as much as I can at one time so that the damn fees won't be too bad. But it is an arm and a leg for everything. That's all I have. That and Aniana To Go. Those 2 services. And then obviously I want to leave off pizza parlors and stuff like that deliver. But I've got to really toe the line and stick to, I've got the freezer, the refrigerator, and now a microwave. I don't have, the conventional oven, which would be terrific, and in my George Foreman grill and crock pot. For some reason they won't allow that. But anyway, I did have to borrow money to get through the month, and I did have to buy more batteries, $20 worth of batteries, and I can't remember what else. Oh yeah, little things like $5 for a fairly decent, dish cover for inside the microwave to avoid the spatter. Just things like that. It all adds up. But what I was going to say is that, a horrific movie led to the combination that Philip wanted, and that is not only the horror on its face of just stealing from me, with a cavalier attitude, but that attitude was in several horror, real TV kind of stuff. Not really, knock on wood or whatever, but they were horrific because they depicted Philip in every way for what he is. And then one character was reaching for something. He kept saying, "See these bullet holes," and finally I got the message. He meant for the batteries he sold to be thought of as analogous to ammunition, as in shotgun shells or tremendous magnum rifle shells of some sort. And we know Philip is one of the nastiest, most vulgar, most representative person I can tell you about what some people call the damn New South. Get used to it, relax and enjoy it. They've got their turf, and by golly, it is so repulsive nobody bothers to make any inroads at all. And they know that, and you know that, folks, and I know that, and the conclusions I've reached in large measure. But at the same time, far away, there are these nice people with good wishes, but vicarious pain as a form of to appreciate the idea of vicarious pain as a form of entertainment, and there's nothing that can be done about it. All right, well, I was prompted at this hour, and while I still have a little stamina, I have a little bit of stamina. I have enough stamina, by the way, to take a shower shortly. And that's going to be great. Not dragging myself, but able really to get in there and enjoy all that hot water, the real hot water that is so beneficial. But I thought first I would tell you that a lot of people have gotten in touch about some people I've talked about in these private messages, or just a straight post on X, which for me is a mystery. I don't know anything about it. I just post there and that's it. But people have commented on my reaction to Tucker Carlson beginning maybe over a month ago, and then also since he surprised everybody with his trip to Russia and his big interview. I couldn't watch all of the interview. I think I've said that. I watched about half of it and just gave up. But there seems to be, some sort of late spurt of growth, a growth spurt by, the frat boy college character, paid $2 million a year for a decade at Fox for saying childish things every time he could. And okay, so he's still a frat boy kind of guy. He doesn't really pass for a frat boy, I guess. After all, he's in his late 40s, I guess, and has 4 kids or something like that. And he ought to retire because he's worrisome. But at the same time, it's as though some, run-of-the-mill adolescent mentality has certainly decided to take a look around and see if there's something he might learn or figure out, or that people don't hate him, that they would be glad if he grew up, and all this. And I'm saying all this, because I don't know. I can't, read his mind and articulate what he thinks of others. But it is a Republican that is a dispensational point of view, But then, that's his orbit, Republicanism and its adversary, the normative class of people who are not very well grounded. The Democrats have a different form of dispensationalism. We're a long way from people who don't really celebrate or plunder the masses, the unwashed, while demanding that everybody look at the Baptists on that score that I've learned are really in bad trouble in Alabama. Anyway, while I was really kind of not doing any better, I decided to look through some old stuff, presidential debates, interviews with the perpetrators, and noticed that there isn't really much difference today, except that there was something then that we lack today in terms of some vague kind of restraint. I don't know quite how to describe it. I mean, because if you watch the interviews and the amazing propaganda stuff that was perpetrated, for example, about Vietnam and one thing, for example, I heard some lies from a colonel about Vietnam that were just breathtaking, amazing. Some damn colonel on somebody's staff. It reminded me of that colonel on my mother's side who got on his damn jet plane, and they had, they had a plane parking lot. Planes for people like him to fly around in. He got on his damn plane and flew all the way to Birmingham to meet me at my mother's place after I got back from Germany. And tried to chew me out, and I said, "Look, you piece of crap." That's basically what I said to him. You don't know what you're talking about, and you never will. I don't think you'll ever find out how bad your views are, because there are more people like you than I prefer to think. Well, 2 years later, he was sacked for his point of view, because he was at the Air Force Academy and trying to, say the things that I heard in that some colonel I've forgotten now on somebody's staff. The lies, damnable lies about who did what when and everything. A backgrounder that was straight out of hell. And I think, he was dancing. In effect, he was dancing on the graves of, all of those who were sacrificed for his ego. His ego and that of any number of people back then. Notwithstanding all of that, there was a certain, I guess, what I'm saying is, there was a kind of a niche back then for people like me, and that niche seems to have disappeared. Part of that has to do with, I was somewhat comfortable in material terms because Dad could arrange for that, because nobody else did. No employer other than the Army would hold a candle to what a certain echelon was getting into. They're now literally retired and playing with their grandkids in Mountain Brook. Well, I don't really mind that I'm not there with them. Certainly, wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't have a friend among them, at all. But to think that things would get as bad as they've become. This is a kind of literally an internal exile, or Entebbe, captured behind enemy lines, or whatever you want to say. And there's nothing good about it, nothing at all. So what existed back then was I could speak my mind to a few and not be, have supper taken from me. Here if I say something they don't particularly dislike, I can almost say, well, yada yada yada, and no spinach for you today. Well, of course, since I've been here, there's never been spinach. Not one serving of spinach, for what that's worth. No pound cake, for what that's worth. The desserts they offer are about the size of 3 cubes of sugar, and composed of something about the same. It's just wet sugar. So I'm not interested. And the stuff is calculated to look like vomit, and it looks like vomit. All kinds of stuff mixed together, whatever the hell it is. And I know the other people here are not getting what I get. I'll just leave it at that. And then some people are feeling good around here. But the severity of what is permitted to happen to me is a matter of record. And when I saw those tapes that have, and figured out what your piece of shit named Philip was up to, why he would steal the batteries in particular. Well, actually, he's taken everything of value except the stuff that I use for the internet. But anyway, but then the connection was made. It was supposed to be symbolic, not only of just his ability to steal, but also to be sure. Since then, a tape was made about ammunition. And I thought, how pathetic. And that kind of stuff is done to me a lot. Freedom of association, no. Concentrated efforts to collapse the meaningful words of English, But anyway, I won't dwell on the obvious. Got a few people to do that for a living, to say the least. Also, it's true that what people have engineered is a whole lot of heavy lifting, and for a time, Harvard and Yale and so on are the laughingstock of basically the parents who still would kill to get their offspring on such a campus. And meanwhile, because of the leverage and because of what amounts to a religion, the statistical people end up with a huge petri dish of stem cells to use as they see fit. Well, it's a good thing that when you build a bridge, it doesn't collapse. What if MIT had some of those kind of people as raw material? But really, they are stem cells, a vast number, sifted and sorted until they meet some criteria for usefulness that I guess the loquacious and articulate can describe. But I would think of so many as being basically somewhat handicapped, really, and in the sense of the word of premium racing nomenclature might have it. And even so, I know that there are those, for example, those who are making all this possible, are getting a lot done. Like pricking a bubble or something, heavy lifting going on, where. And the result, for one thing, is that Tucker Carlson has decided to, I don't know, kind of free himself up for one thing or another. Of course, for years, I guess the last year, every time I've tuned in to, he's made a point of how he's a clown. He said, "I'm a clown." You know that song by Bowie about I'm a black star, I'm a black star. You know. Tucker says, I'm a clown, I'm a clown. Well, I know he's a clown. A lot of people are clowns, and so on. But he's decided to, put on a happy face and interview people like what's his name, Cat Turd, who was interviewed, and he said, well, he suddenly discovered, thinking of politics and events or whatever, when he ended up listening to Rush Limbaugh. He found out about Limbaugh and tuned in and listened to Limbaugh for years until the day he dropped dead or whatever it was. And he says, as far as he's concerned, that's it. There's no comparison. The gold standard was Limbaugh. And of course, I remember, a few samples. A lot of people know it's really something to contend with. And he said he's tried to follow up and with a sense of humor about the whole thing. And now that he's an influencer, and we all know that influencers get rich. So now he's rich. Not as rich as Tucker Carlson, but, people are making money by plundering the people they influence. And there are those who still have tremendous leverage, and they're trying to do some tremendous things, but that leverage is diminishing daily, with an averaging out, I think, of sorts. A consensus is building for the new definition of populism that has really swept the country, which leads nowhere. I know, people have told me, they almost have to tell me on the fly, not exactly openly, about much that has happened in the last 10 years in terms of executive prerogatives that really have nothing to do with the heavy lifting that is still underway lately. But I've always said, I used to say, more often to fewer people, that, there's no point in having some sort of disdain for, example, the Rush Limbaugh people. They're there. That's not mythological. That's not symbolically some sort of range of opinion. These are actual people paying actual taxes, without access to, the budget that has anything to do with their payroll, but they pay their actual taxes from what they're given, and they earn what they can, and disdain for them is not going to work out very well, and it has not worked out very well. And now I think those wounds are beginning to be addressed, because people see that, never mind Watergate, never mind Cuban Missile Crisis, this, that, and the other. Well, I'll give you another example. I saw a talk given at the Nixon Library extolling the virtues of the Pahlavi years in Iran. And I saw someone summarize events beginning at the turn of the century, just right about the time of World War I, actually. From then until the downfall of Pahlavi and the years since, I heard a version of reality so divorced from reality that it was breathtaking. In fact, the occasion was billed as a celebration of the 50th anniversary of Nixon's visit to Iran. So, stepping back before then and then coming forward up to that time, and then in all the years since, right up to the time of that meeting, which was, maybe 20 years ago now, or 10 years ago, I don't know. I'm sure they haven't changed a bit since that celebration of 50th anniversary. What would it be now? The 70th anniversary? I don't know. It's something like that now. But anyway, it was outrageous. Just outrageous. And all I can say is, people, when I was meeting people and doing, except when I was in the Army, people act like they can just dismiss, with a magic wand, oh, these people don't matter. Wave a magic wand and be done. That end of story. That doesn't work, and I think people hard at work now know that, there are people with ideas that are extremely important. Extremely important. Millions of people who have no useful opinion at all on so many issues that, something must be done. So that there isn't just a conflagration. I think things are now so polarized that no matter what happens in November, the first agenda is to come to terms, as every president has for the last several, with the tremendous polarization of American opinion. Lincoln said a house divided against itself cannot stand. Well, we don't have a civil war over slavery in quite the way that happened, obviously, but we have a very complicated situation that that is as important having anything to do with moving forward without more and more problems. We really are in a cycle now where some of the worst leadership in America has gathered around defense contractors, the wrong side of military life, and the wrong side of Congress, for a kind of vicious cycle, while the overrated money managers can watch M1, M2, M3 just really ripping around and around. around what Eisenhower talked about. You know, he said that a lot about the military-industrial complex. Now that includes medicine, law, and education in terms of a similar vortex. But we really have a vortex now, and I think a lot of people are outside that so-called privileged group. You know, they have the money, they make their decisions, and around they go. And what do they need? Well, they need an excuse to keep going. A benign and pathetic example of how that's true is if you look at NATO. And they feel, you know, I have the feeling that they're a bunch of Rochesters and Jack Benny, if you know what I mean, standing around like NATO hotshots. Well, we're needed, aren't we? What are we doing? Oh, here we are. Okay, let's go. And I thought, you know, I'll avoid getting into all that. But anyway, we have a vortex, not just a complex. We have a vortex, and so they look for some justification, something plausible. And they remember, of course, you know, the Cuban Missile Crisis, for example, or you name it, where, you know, the theater of war now has been created in Eastern Europe and warmed over and heated up quite hot in the Middle East, and some others are just, you know, hat in hand in Iran, saying we can help, or have I missed the mark? So, I mean, there are a lot of people who want to get into the game, and the game turns out to be a cliche, 2 words: corporate media. And if we don't get some people, whether they are in the fast track, and I'm beginning to wonder, or the rank and file in the so-called Ivy Leagues, and also what GE cared so much about and so on, I would invoke somebody like Ezra. You know, Ezra knows that UCLA probably has an elite there, a small group, hunkered down, really able. Whether they really have a fast track, I don't know. Anyway, all of these now, you know, had better really get to work about corporate media. And so I think it's very interesting that people are discounting what your least favorite clown can do for Fraternity Row. And we're talking about, what, hundreds of thousands? He may be your least favorite clown, but he's calling the shots for any number a little more gracefully than Rush Limbaugh. I mean, if I had to choose between all that Rush Limbaugh was capable of doing and all that Tucker Carlson is capable of doing, there wouldn't be much of a difficulty. But that's a problem for a lot of people. There are a lot of people whose matriculation in a fast track or at a snail's pace involves the sophistication of dumping on other people. I mean, how are you with your put downs? Are your put downs good enough for late night, mid-morning, or on the hour, every hour? How are your put-downs doing? I'll tell you somebody who's not too interested and whose opinions I value, who knows something about late night. Jay Leno. I'll let Jay Leno inform you privately of what might be done. There's some others up and coming, but golly, most of the good news is that the corporate media, meat and potatoes, stuff, is really fascinated with the what they call the influencers, and that might be a good sign. If the influencers don't get burnt, touching the stove with their greedy little fingers. No, that's not right. Not for all of them. Some may be, but not all. And at the same time, if the people who have this white hot corporate media connection with that vortex, it just seems to me that we're on the verge of a pivot point. I don't know exactly when, within a year, 2 years, within a month, when we'll begin to take a new direction as a function of what we've been doing. Not a departure in the sense that, this is separate, any more than when you are playing pool, the consequences of your use of the cue ball are what? Logical in terms of the collisions and directions involved? Well, yes, a new direction, but people controlling their stick and cue ball can decide what to do, I don't think we're at the point where anybody can run the table. And one thing I would point out is, dummy, the table is broken. Now, only somebody who knows how weird the table is could even sink a few shots. You need a new table. It's what you've got, an 800-pound gorilla sat on it, not the same anymore. So yeah. Well, I've run out of things to say. So yeah, I agree. I should shut my mouth, and I will. I'm getting a little punchy. I don't have stamina beyond, I'm feeling better this morning. Not feeling good about some people who are, flogging themselves. I'm uncomfortable about people who are flogging themselves, and the last thing in the world that I would want is anybody to be overly concerned about my situation. I didn't know. I had seen the numbers. I didn't know or remember, had my memory refreshed, as if I remember when Eisenhower went into the hospital and all of that. And then I was reminded that he was 78 when he died. He had a lot of heart trouble. And so he had chain smoked, chain smoker for many years, and a lot of heart trouble. So he died when he was 78. well, I have diabetes, and I'm in the hands of some really bad people, and I'm going to have to see another specialist fairly soon. I'm just waiting as long as I can, thinking maybe I'll feel better by the time I really have to go somewhere for something. I just don't know how I can get the cooperation I'd want. But beyond that, there's also, the whole question of my legs here that are not getting any better. And so, given the diabetes that is a reality, I don't disregard the obvious implications. So yeah, having said that, let me go ahead and enjoy what I can do right now, which is step into the shower, although I have to sit down. I can't stand up for very long anymore. But I'm going to get wet and a nice hot shower until I can't anymore, So yeah, this is a tape uploaded to the internet for a bunch of friends, and then others will look in on this and mobilize. I don't know what they'll do. I know what they've done in the past, but so yeah. I don't know much about Wiki. Why did I say that? Not Wikipedia. There's somebody just about worn out. They say he's worn out. Assange, I don't know. I've never ever looked up what not Wikipedia. That's the encyclopedia. What is it? Wiki something that Assange did. Well, anyway. What I'm saying is, I don't know anything about X, formerly Twitter. It's foreign territory to me. I don't understand it. It seems very cryptic to me what's going on. But as you know, I've lost faith in another outfit that it's understandable what they're doing, and some people might like what they're doing. I don't particularly. But I certainly wouldn't trust the people involved at all with anything I think about or care about. Any more than they would trust me. And of course, I guess if I post this to Wix, not Wix, Wix is the website place, is it? Wix. I don't know why I say that. I confused Wix, which was what I was actually thinking about a minute ago. I confused Wix with X. It's not euphemistic. I'm saying that X just seems alien or strange to me. I don't have any way to navigate it. It's just so I'm just posting and whatever. I might find out, who cares to step on me or the contrary. I don't think it'll pay for spinach that I can now put in the microwave. Particularly, maybe next month I'll get the budget straightened out. Then I should feel better too, because I'm tired of this. The game as it is played in the gutter by people who are still quite the colossus in the gutter, according to Philip, rather than the sanitation people. Alright, I'm at 50 minutes now. Let me say Thank you for the good stuff. You know who you are. And have a great weekend.